Welcome to You Know Something with Dena
Hey, look, I'm just here to entertain, inform, and keep this crazy train on track.
and Tia.
Me, unlike your live wire that is liable to go shoo.
They're like your cool aunts.
Exactly. You're exactly right.
Fun,
I can't believe you even brought that up. That is so fun.
informative,
It's impossible to dust potpourris.
You can't.
sometimes serious.
Dena, sweet child. I am almost stunned. I mean, I'm being really serious.
But most of the time, not so much.
A caca. I mean, your caca and your caca. No. I'm sorry.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Ladies, let's go.
Hello, welcome to You Know Something with Dena and Tia. I'm Dena.
And I'm Tia, and today is August 7th, 2024.
Yes, and today, Tia, our topic, sometimes I pick topics because I'm interested in the topic, or I see something, and sometimes I pick it because I know that it might excite you. You might be interested in it. And then I think I should probably pick topics based on what our audience might be interested in. That might be a good idea.
That almost is genius. Right there.
Makes sense, doesn't it? So I'm going against my interests because it's the interest of the world right now. And we touched on it a little in Giggles and Gratitude. I think we need to have an Olympic conversation. I'm not into sports. I'm not an athlete, believe it or not. But you are athletic. And don't you think it's really more pop culture and about human stories and people as much as it is sports, really?
Yes, absolutely. You've stunned me because I haven't been watching them.
Yeah.
So
I haven't either, but don't you know things just from the headlines and the controversies and the drama? Headlines seem to pop out. And I did some research. So
oh, good.
yeah, all you'll need to do is just give me your opinion, respond, and then I bet you when I say something, you're going to say, actually, Dina, I did see the other day on Entertainment Tonight that da-da-da.
Maybe.
I'm sure they're mentioning things like that. I mean, it's just kind of goes over sports. It's like pop culture, really, because the whole world is participating, and most probably are watching, whether it's live or just replays and into it, but me, probably. So
Everybody but you.
I feel that way.
Well, no, I don't believe that at all.
Okay. So let's jump into it, and we'll learn, and we'll have our own style of learning, like we have here, in our own special way, which usually means when the show's over, you think, I didn't learn a dang thing, but I had fun.
Okay, I always learn something.
Do you?
Yes,
Okay,
I do,
good.
for sure.
Okay, all right. I'm being self-deprecating like I've said we shouldn't be. So, all right, so we're going to discuss some of the controversial headlines from the Paris Olympics. We'll find out if, Tia, you and I, can we actually enter the Olympics if we want to? What does that journey look like? Can any Joe Schmo just say, I'm going to try to get into the Olympics? Or is it like a special club you have to be in? And then we'll go over some fun Olympic trivia,
Okay.
present and past. We'll see how much you know about. Now, my sources are a lot. ESPN, Olympic.com, the New York Times, TED Ed on YouTube, Fox Sports, TMZ, and others. But what I'm going to do, rather than name them all, is just list them in our show notes because I do want to give them credit with links so you can see where I got this. And I'm just not making this stuff up. If you think,
Okay.
that's not true. All right, so we do have to do a little brief history of the Olympics. History is not your and I's favorite subject either. But you kind of do have to do it. Now, I think we all know the Olympics started in Greece.
Mm-hmm.
Long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
But it began as a religious festival honoring the Greek god Zeus. So it's really all about mythology, Greek mythology. Now, did you learn Greek mythology in school? I felt like we all had to.
Yeah, we did. I mean, I don't remember any of it.
I don't either. I remember Zeus,
Yes.
maybe a few other names. But at the time, I thought, why are we having to learn this? If it's mythology? I mean, doesn't mythology mean it didn't really happen?
Myth?
Yeah. Isn't that where myth comes from? So I never understood we had to do book reports and stuff, but I do remember Zeus. It took place in Olympia, which at the time was just a rural kind of farming town. And the first Olympics was in 776 BC. So a long time ago.
Very.
Yeah. And they actually based the Greek calendar off of this. The Greek calendar was marked off in increments of every 4 years called Olympiads. And we have Olympics every 4 years, like
Right.
summer, then winter, and summer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The ancient Greeks believed that competition fostered excellence. Now, do you agree with that?
Well, it can.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, I do think that. Yes.
Because if you don't have a goal, you're probably not going to do something that is so exerting and even painful at times unless you have a desire to be excellent.
Right.
And you want to be the winner. You know?
The winner.
There's
Yes.
nothing wrong with wanting to be the winner.
Right.
Tia and I do not think everyone should get a medal and everyone should win.
Exactly.
So that was the principle of the first Olympics, to foster excellence. For the first 13 games, which would be like 42 years if it's every 4 years, the Olympics only featured one event for 42 years. So that would be pretty boring. Do you have any idea what it was?
Have not a clue.
Running,
Oh.
which kind of makes sense because everybody can run. It was a 200-yard dash, which is like, what, 2 football fields? So I feel like we could have done that event. Not well, but we could have done it. Can you run 2 football fields?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
I'm a lot slower than I used to be, but yeah. Okay, what was 13, did you say?
Well, they said for the first 13 games, they don't mean like running data. They mean the first 13 Olympic event.
Okay.
So it would be 42 years if it's every 4 years. Yeah, I know that sounds like the first 13 games they played, but it means the first
Okay.
13 Olympics was just a 200-yard dash. So people were kind of losing interest, and they thought, we need to jazz this up a little bit.
Wouldn't you? Okay.
But over time, new exciting events were added, like boxing, chariot racing, mule racing, and even a foot race where competitors wore their entire armor.
Whew.
Yeah, which was like 70 pounds, they're
Wow.
estimating. So that would be tough. That would be fun to watch. So it enticed more and more competitors and more spectators. Then they added the pentathlon. And that, do you know what a pentathlon is?
No.
Pentathlon means 5.
Okay.
So it was 5 different events. So what would you think those would include? 5 different events you had to do. Obviously running.
Swimming? No.
No, but you would think so. Maybe they didn't have water. I don't know. Running, jumping. No, I don't know if that's, I guess that's like high jumping or distance jumping. Wrestling, javelin throwing, and hurling the discus. So then people really had to get good, and practice all those events. And it used to be spread over 5 days. They still have the pentathlon. And it used to be spread over 5 days. Then it was down to 1 day. But modern day, you have to do all that in 2 hours. Get it all done. I guess you just go from one, like a relay, go
Yes.
from one thing to the next.
Wow.
I don't think we could do that one.
I know I couldn't.
The pankration, which means complete victory in Greek, it's a no-holds-barred fight. And this was back then, where only biting and eye gouging are no-nos. The rest is just fair game.
Wow.
Now, that would be fun. It's strange to you. I am into boxing and MMA fighting. I don't think I've ever told you that. Not doing it, watching it.
Really?
I don't know why.
Ooh, I don't
You
either.
don't like it.
No.
Yeah, I don't. It's the strange thing about me, but I love to
None
watch boxing.
whatsoever.
Yeah, and it can be brutal. It really can. So that's similar to MMA. You can't bite and you can't gouge out people's eyes, which that sounds right to me. In addition to sporting events, they started adding music, singing, and poetry back in the ancient days. A local baker named Coroibus became the first Olympic champion in 776, and he was a baker, like baked bread, and so they think maybe that's where the expression breadwinner came from. But I don't know. And Orsippus of Megara tore away his loincloth while he was running so that he could be unencumbered, just run freely. And so he started the tradition of having the Olympics in the nude.
Oh, wow.
So then everybody just started
I'm
doing
so
it
happy
naked.
we don't have that now.
Well,
Well,
there are some
well,
people.
no.
You know, I love men. I think I've mentioned that before. I mean, I really, Tia, really, really love men. Love them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think their bodies are awesome creations of God.
Right?
People talk about women's bodies, and I just think men's bodies are just, especially if they're athletic, it's just beautiful. But when I think of naked Olympics, I mean, I just think of like one word, ew. 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 I mean, just the thought. Yeah, we'll just skip over that thought. But it did become the naked Olympics. So, years of just running and competing and letting it all hang out was what they did. But the Greeks were polytheistic. They believed in multiple gods.
Mm-hmm.
Polytheistic.
Right.
So while Olympia is a sanctuary to Zeus, we know that he wasn't the only deity that was worshipped back then. There were over 70 altars included in the Olympics, and you could sacrifice anything you wanted to. So it got kind of...
Gross.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was kind of barbaric. I mean, although Christians sacrificed, like their best goat or whatever to honor God. I'm not going to give away I'm not going to sacrifice my yucky one. I'm going to do the best one. But they were doing it to several different gods. But then in 391 AD, the Christian Roman emperor said, we're not going to do this anymore. This is a pagan religious ceremony. So he banned. His name was Theodosius. So he said no more Olympics because it was based on worshiping gods.
Right.
Now, how do you feel about that? Did you know that? Does that kind of change your mind about the Olympics, or do you...
No, I'm just glad he changed it.
Yeah, okay.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So there were no more Olympics, but 1,500 years later, that would be 1896, somebody, I couldn't find who or how or what, said, let's do that again, but leave out the religious aspect of it. Let's do the competitive, bring the world together Olympics. So that is our modern version as we know it. And it was in Athens, the first one. So in 1896. So that's all the history I'm going to tell you, Tia.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not going to bore you anymore, but I thought that was kind of interesting. I mean, I knew it came from Greek mythology and all that. I just didn't realize how religious it was. All right. So now let's come to 2024, Tia, and talk about some of the headlines in Paris Summer Olympics. The first one was the women's boxing controversy, which I'm sure you probably heard about that.
Yes.
And I did research. I dug and dug and dug, and I still can't get clear answers on the truth. What do you know?
The only thing I know is that they said that one of them used to be a guy.
Yeah.
And had transitioned into a woman because the girl that said it was the hardest punch she'd ever had.
The one that fought her.
And then I saw where, they were trying to prove that she was really a she.
Yeah.
From birth. So you dug and dug and dug and can't find anything, right?
I can't find for sure. It's still debated.
Oh.
But I did learn a few things. That the father of her said she was born a girl. She's always been a girl. Here's her birth certificate. When they she didn't pass a gender test in other competitions. But the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, can override and say, these are our rules. This is what we're going to do. And the rumor is that she had Okay, let me just read this. The International Boxing Association said in 2023 that Khalif, that's her last name, the one that's in controversy, and Lynn, another boxer, were disqualified from the tournament for testing positive for XY chromosomes. Females are XX, and have maintained that both fighters had an unfair advantage. That's the International Boxing Association. But the IOC said you can't just test somebody's genetics without a reason. The thing to test is, and I read a doctor's article, and he said, here's the thing. Does being a man make you have an advantage over a woman? He said, what makes you have an advantage over a woman in boxing, you got to take each event, is strength. And testosterone is what makes you strong.
Mm-hmm.
So if Khalif had a strong testosterone level over the limits, then she would not be able to box with women. But her testosterone levels were not over the requirement to not box a woman. And the fact that they said, we're going to test your chromosomes, which apparently was unheard of, we're going to test your chromosomes, was a prejudicial, like looking at how big she was and being suspicious that she wasn't female. But they won't reveal, they're not allowed to reveal her medical records as far as that goes. So it's, at this point, it's the Boxing Federation versus the Olympics Federation word. It's the Boxing Federation making up that rumor. If Khalif passed the testosterone levels, they feel like we're going to go ahead with it. So how do you feel about all that? That it was an invasion of medical privacy to test the chromosomes, the Boxing Federation. I know it's a complicated issue and it really divides people.
Mm-hmm.
This is just Tia's opinion.
Well, I don't know what my opinion is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just think that women need to be boxing other women. Period. I think it is an unfair advantage if you've got the strength of a man and you're boxing a woman.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
How do you measure strength, though? You know?
Well, I mean, normally, a man is, we're made that way. A man is made to be stronger than a woman.
Yeah.
That goes back to the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like they can do the carnival thing where they hit the big sledgehammer, hit it, and it goes up too far, then you're too strong to box.
Right.
I mean, I know in boxing they do weight class, you know, and Khalif looked a lot taller than that other boxer to me, but maybe thinner, you know, less fat.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, Khalif could box in the same weight category as the girl who just gave up and cried because she was scared, but this person's going to kill me, you know,
Mm-hmm.
going to hit me after I got that hit. And obviously she feels like the gender of Khalif is in question. You know, she was afraid.
So will they come out with it eventually, or?
Well, I guess they think it's her private medical records, the chromosome. The Boxing Federation obviously can do that, can test your chromosomes, but cannot reveal the results to the
Right.
public. So they said...
Well, I don't think it needs to be revealed to the public, but, I mean, it should be, like, you're ineligible if that...
Yeah, and the Boxing Federation said that Khalif was, but the Olympics said, why did you test the chromosomes? Violating Khalif's privacy, therefore we don't want to see that. We're going to test testosterone. And Khalif passed the testosterone test.
Okay.
So it's going to remain a debate, a controversy, and I felt so sorry for the girl who quit. I mean, it's not worth getting brain damage or even killed if you got hit once and thought, no,
Right.
I'm not going to. But she was boxing for her father who had passed away, and it was such a long journey, and now it's over. So I'm still confused, and you know, I like to debate with you, so sometimes I'll take another side with you or question what you're saying just so we can stop and think about it. But I hope I explained it clearly what happened as far as
You did.
medical. Okay, because that's something I didn't know. Right. So that was very controversial. And you know, back when people were talking about someone had, and I don't want to get too much in this because we're a fun show. We're not a political show. But back when people were talking about, your gender is what you identify as. Why do people care? And people said, well, what if someone who was born male but identifies as a female enters a sporting competition? That wouldn't be fair. And people said, why are you going there? What are the odds of that happening? And people got all up in arms. Well, that happens all the time now. It's amazing to me how much it does come up. But then people will say, well, they're just doing that because they weren't good in their gender, so they're doing all this. I don't think you would change your body and go to such extreme just to win a sporting event. I think that's something that you feel. So that's where I want to leave that. Do you have anything else you want to say about?
No, you summed it up.
Okay.
Excellent.
Okay, thank you, honey. All right. The shooter from Turkey. Have you heard about him?
No.
The sharpshooter. His name is Yusuf Dikek. He's from Turkey. He's 51 years old, and he was in the air pistol competition. And he didn't win the gold. He was shooting against Serbia, but he became the story because of his demeanor. He was so cool, just kind of walk up and it was just like so casual. And said he never had any training. He's just a good shooter and was doing so well, and then didn't do well in the last round. And the Serbian guy, who was really focusing and concentrating and squinting and taking his time, got the gold. So people are saying now, they've started a rumor that this is just other people, I'm not saying this, the Turkish guy, Yusuf, is really a hitman back in Turkey.
Oh, my.
And he's such a good shooter that he thought, I can't win gold because then I'll kind of reveal how good I really am. And then my occupation will be, my whole history will be exposed. So anyway, people are making up this whole story about it.
Wow.
I don't think that's true.
I mean, there are some people that have really, really active imaginations.
I find him rather hot. I have to
Okay,
say.
of course you did.
Because I like men, too. I really like men.
Yes, you've told everybody that. I'm so happy.
Okay, that was my wording. Let's see. His nonchalant style, his demeanor intrigued the world. He won the silver. And that's just this lore that's being made. But they measured his blood pressure while he was shooting, and it never got above 45 while he was shooting.
Wow.
That's how still and cool. And just quit. I mean, he just lift that gun and choo. And then the next guy's like, trying to aim, and he's just stretches that arm out and just does a great job. So what I'm saying is, like, winning the medal is not necessarily what makes the headline. It's personality, it's looks, it's an aura that some of these athletes have that really become the headlines. It's very interesting to me. Where somebody could win a lot, do great, but they're just not interesting. I don't know if that's fair to say. All right, speaking of excellence, Katie Ledecky, are you familiar with her? She's a swimmer. She's 27. She's been swimming for a long time, since she was little, of course. And she has won, as of my note, making 4 medals in this Olympics. 2 gold, 1 silver, and 1 bronze. She's won 9 Olympic gold medals and 21, overall, over her career, and 21 World Championship gold medals. 21 gold medals.
Wow.
The most in history for any female swimmer.
I did see her.
Did you?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did.
And I could show you photos, and I'm sure you know all these people. Ledecky is the second most decorated U.S. Olympian behind Michael Phelps. Not just swimming, she's the second most decorated Olympic athlete in the history of Olympics. And Michael Phelps has 28 medals. Simone Biles, I mean, we love her.
Oh.
I know you know her. As of this recording, and I think they had the group gymnastics competition yesterday and didn't win. I don't know. By the time this comes out, I don't know what the situation will be. But she has 3 golds from the Paris Olympics. She has 10 Olympic medals throughout her career. She's tied for 3rd for the most medals by a female gymnast. Her medal count at international competitions is now at 40, the most of any gymnast. And she's also 27 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So just the excellence of them has made headlines. But I think it's also their personalities. There's just something sparkly about Simone.
Oh, she is full of sparkle.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just sit there in awe watching her. And that's one thing I have watched, made sure I watched, just because I don't understand how she can literally bring her body and defy gravity to just do those flips and everything. And just, she is completely amazing.
I just watch her and I think on the mat, you know how you go from corner to corner and you have to run really fast to get that momentum. I don't think I could even do that. The run halfway across the mat at that speed.
And then you just jump up and
just
then
trust your ability.
Wow.
It amazes me.
She's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. So those are both women who really made a mark in the Olympics that started out with naked men punching each other.
Wow.
Now, Simone did tweet on August the 4th, "You guys really need to stop asking athletes what's next for them after they win a medal at the Olympics. Let us soak up the moment that we've worked for our whole lives." And we're going to talk about that, Tia, like what happens to athletes after they've started out as little kids, just not going to the birthday parties and not doing this or that, and probably not eating the birthday cakes and just focusing on the Olympics their whole life. And then when they win, they're like, now what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
I think it really would weigh on your mental, because they're probably like, I don't know, actually.
Well, I mean, a lot of them, though, after they win, they get sponsors.
Right.
And so that'll carry them for a while. And then during that, they're going to have to find out, what they're going to do for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
So.
And you can imagine the change in your life suddenly, that adrenaline stops, the goal is achieved. It's got to be kind of a letdown, maybe kind of a...
Well, you're not getting up every single morning and going to practice.
Yeah.
And so
it's like a whole new chapter.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to sound so stupid, but it's never stopped me before. When we when we trained for walking, the half marathon, mostly walking, when it's over, I have a letdown. I have a... You know what I mean? Do you feel the same way?
Yes. Because that's what you're just used to doing. And then when it's over, it's like,
yeah.
It's kind of like when Christmas is over. It's just like,
now what?
yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of back to normal life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can imagine how they feel. All right, did you hear about, and this is a very delicate subject, you might want to cover your children's ears. I'll try to be delicate. The pole vaulter that got stuck on the crossbar.
No.
All right, let me find it, and I'm just going to show it to you. He was doing really well, and he leapt up, but his body got stuck on the crossbar.
Okay. Wow.
I mean, it was real, Tia. I watched it in slow motion like 500 times.
Oh, you watched it in slow motion 500 times.
That's a little bit of an exaggeration. I'm going to play it for you. Now, he's a French athlete named Anthony Amarati. And I'm sure most people listening have probably heard of this by the time they hear this. But it was something else, and it was a handicap. But I feel like he's still a winner in my book. He's still...
Okay.
Tia's just looking at me like, stop. Please stop. All right, I'm going to let you watch it, okay? That's really quick, so you have to...
Just seemed to just be sloppy as he turned his body.
Want to watch it again?
Just seemed to just be
I see.
sloppy as he turned his body.
They were saying that his leg got stuck. But anyway, like I say, I think he will probably end up making a lot of money one way or another. I feel like it'll be he'll be on all the talk shows and
Oh, I'm sure.
I think a lot of people will be sending him private messages in his Instagram profile. Me? I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I'm kidding. All right. So there were a couple of controversies about countries not being allowed to participate, and that's happened in the past. Afghanistan was banned in 2000 and has not been back due to the Taliban's stance on women, and Kuwait was suspended in 2015 due to government interference in its Olympic committee. So, like, the government was forcing their Olympic representatives to not be fair, to vote for their own athletes. And more recent bans involved Russia and Belarus because of the Ukraine war. Russia and Belarus said they were not banned, that they just chose not to participate. So again, what is the truth there? I think we probably know what the truth there is. Okay, athletes have been complaining about the athletic village. Like, there's no air conditioning, the beds are hard, cardboard beds, and they said they make the beds uncomfortable because of interactions with
with
athletes
other
on the beds.
athletes.
Yeah, so they want to make it an uncomfortable bed.
But 10 girls should not have to share 2 bathrooms.
That is a lot.
That's ridiculous.
Do you think it's part of the challenge? Like, you shouldn't go to these luxurious rooms and be
Well,
pampered.
they're all going to hotels to stay.
They're leaving. I said I
Of
didn't know that.
course.
So they're allowed to do that.
Yes.
And then the shizzle in the Seine, I'm going to call it the Seine River, the shizzle dizzle in the Seine River that people are afraid to swim in because it's polluted with shizzle. So I looked up that. I guess you've heard about that too. Yeah. Okay. Apparently they tested the water because they have swimming pools obviously for
Right.
the little relays, but the longer swimming and I guess that would be decathlon, any of multiple events that involve swimming too. They want it to be a more natural atmosphere outside. So they've had to test it. And so there was a concern about E. coli because Parisians have said, we need to clean up this river. It smells, it's disgusting. It goes right down the center of this beautiful city. Our money should be going to cleaning up this river. So when Paris won the right to have the Olympics there, they started spending money cleaning everything up. And so they tested the water of the Seine River, and it had E. coli and bacteria, which, I mean, I would think any river would, but it has to be a certain level to allow athletes to jump into it. So they said the bacterial levels fluctuate constantly, so they have to take water samples daily. And if it rains, then the runoff's going to cause the bacteria to rise. They feel like they're being unfairly targeted and scaring the athletes unnecessarily. Triathletes did race in it already. And one athlete, Adrian Brafed, got a stomach infection, but there's no way to prove that was what that was from. I would think you go to another country, you're under stress, you're training, you're eating, food you're not used to, or drinking water. I would get sick. I'm sure that was the first thing I would do, would get diarrhea. If not just from nerves,
Right.
So none of the rest of them got it, so there's no way to know for sure. Some of the strains of E. coli, they said, live in your body. Everybody's got E. coli from different things in your body. It's just if you're young and healthy, you might have a little tummy trouble and then get better. But under World Triathlon guidelines, E. coli levels up to 1,000 colony-forming units per 100 milliliters is considered good. And that's technical, but the point is the Seine is testing at 249, well below what's needed. So that might be blown out of proportion, but for more than 100 years, swimming in the Seine has been illegal due to concerns over what the water could do to humans' health. So there's that.
Oh.
So that's why the citizens are a little upset. So
Well, I think I would be too.
Yeah.
Just for fun.
yeah. So authorities have been working to clean up the waters, and they spent, for the Olympics, $2.2 billion just to clean up
Wow.
the river. So there was a protest organized by citizens saying, we're going to all go poop in the river now that you've cleaned it up for foreigners, strangers coming into our country from all over the world, but you wouldn't do it for your own citizens. So they were all going to go poop at the same time before the Olympics, so it would be unusable. I don't think that happened. I think it was more a gimmick, to get their attention and get headlines and get the world's attention of what they feel is unfair. Mm-hmm. They're still going ahead, but they do test it every day. If you think about, I was thinking about it, if you clean up more for your guests, don't you clean up your house more for your guests than you do for your own
Yes.
family? So it's kind of on a large scale. The country is cleaning up for the guests coming over.
I know, but that's just kind of a horrible thing to even suggest that they would do that.
Oh, to poop in the river?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's just gross.
Yeah. But they are angry, so. And so let's talk about that. You know, how cities want to do it, have always wanted to. We want to have the Olympics. We want to have the Olympics. But is it a good thing? You know, for instance, they spent $2.2 billion to clean up the river. Will they maintain that? Now, if they maintain that, that's a good thing that was caused to happen. They just let it all go back once the world's not looking anymore.
We hope not.
Yeah. So how does your city get to host the Olympics? Cities submit bids for their vision, plans, and budget for future Olympic Games. A city is then chosen. The International Olympic Committee, the IOC again, pays for some of those costs. Like they pay for the broadcasting of the games, but the host city is pretty much on the hook for everything else. The stadiums, the village, security, so you can imagine what that, I mean, building structures just for people to stay in. I can't even imagine coordinating where the events are going to be, how are they going to get there. I mean, they have over 40, I think it's 40 Olympic events in the winter and 32 in the summer, if I remember correctly. So 32 different events happening over, what is it, like 2 weeks, the Olympics, I think. So anyway, Paris total have spent $8.2 billion on the Olympics. So it puts the city in debt, tremendous amount. And
But they don't make revenue while everybody's there.
Well, do they make enough? That's the question.
Oh, okay.
Some cities in the past have come out in the in the black, excuse me, but most have not. So it's really about what is left when everyone's gone. Is it an improvement? Or does it all go back to normal? Are there structures that can't be used? They have to pay to tear down. You know, it's city. You take it city by city. But they said the cost of putting on the Olympics is making it harder to find host cities. Less and less cities are interested, you know, I think people are looking differently toward what do we spend money on and what's important, and should we be taking care of our poor rather than, you know, it's up for debate. Mostly they don't make a profit during the Olympics, but it helps tourism. Like you say, you don't see it immediately.
Right.
But I think everybody's heard of Paris. You know, if you wanted to go to Paris, you probably have already heard of it. So I don't know how that helps tourism unless people who normally could not afford to go or wouldn't get a chance to go are going for the Olympics. And they think, let's come back here. This is a beautiful city, you know.
Right.
So you want to put on your best impression as the city for guests. Let's call them guests. It's kind of like a badge of honor, too. We had the Olympics in our city. I mean, PR, advertising, all that. I went to Reddit, which is always great to find the real scoop, because we're just people talk. But is it all true? I don't know. But it's fun to read on Reddit. On Reddit, you pose a question, and then people weigh in. It's just kind of like a big chat board. And what city actually benefited from hosting the Olympics? Elegant Umpire 9645 asks. And then people make comments. Now, this guy said places like Sydney, London, Tokyo, Beijing all planned properly for future use of their facilities and other associated infrastructure. So they benefited. So they thought, how can we use this afterwards? So that's smart.
No, that's really smart.
Yeah. I mean, we experienced a World's Fair, and there was a lot of controversy about all the cheaper motels and hotels and structures that were built up and then left empty. And I'm not sure it was a good thing.
I thought it was a great thing because I worked there.
Yeah.
So
in
it was a great summer job. So
yeah.
I loved it.
It kind of leaves a city we have structures left over from it as remnants that are still sometimes being used, sometimes not being used.
Well, you got some beautiful things that are still left over from it.
It changes your skyline. Yeah. I mean, the Space Needle in Seattle is from the Olympics. I mean, the World's Fair, excuse me. We need to do a World's Fair episode. This person said, I live in London and swim in the aquatics center regularly. It was not there before the Olympics. They had to build an aquatics center, so that's a good thing. I run around the Olympic Park track often. It's one of my favorite runs. Beijing, again, someone said, Salt Lake City never stops talking about the Olympics, and they're still trying to get another one. So obviously it was successful for them to want to try to do it again. And I feel like it's kind of gotten down to like a handful of cities every year are applying for it. And if you think about Winter Olympics, that's a whole nother. How do you make snow if you're not a snow?
Right.
And I'll go ahead. I'm sorry.
Don't think that's possible.
I mean, you can make a little bit of snow to
Yeah.
ski bunny down, but Vancouver, it was positive. They were left with a public transportation system called the Canada Line. The Olympic Village has a lot of events there. Now, Atlanta actually nearly turned a profit. Now, I think when we think of Atlanta, we think about the bombing, and that's kind of a bad taste in our mouths thinking about that. But the infrastructure helped the city. This person says they live there. That a lot of things can be learned from in Atlanta. So it's kind of a mixed bag. It just depends on how it's handled. But I cannot imagine the undertaking if I worked as a city official for the Olympics. It's really crazy.
Well, at least you've got 4 years to do it.
Yeah, I bet that goes by.
I know. Exactly.
Think about building a house. That nearly takes 4 years sometimes. So Tia, now, let's talk about us as our favorite subject. Okay, let's say that the United States started a new policy. They sent out letters to every citizen, and just like jury duty, you had to enter the Olympics. And you got to pick your event. What do you think you could possibly do semi-well in?
Right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do now.
I have to pick one?
No. Oh, that's good. You got several.
No, I do not. And you said that they are sending out like a jury duty and everybody has to pick an Olympic event, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Whew, I'm glad that this is fantasy and not true.
Now, if you do poorly, they're not going to like execute you or anything.
Okay.
It's not like a communist country.
Then I would enter swimming.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. See, I've never seen you swim, so
No.
I would have thought golf or shooting for you. But
Oh, you
swimming-
know something I forgot? That there's golf. Yeah, golf would be a good one. Swimming. Shooting.
I mean, you have a gun.
Well, I know, but I mean, I don't target practice or anything.
Okay.
And see, I forget all the things that are in the Olympics now because
Yeah.
they have everything.
That's true. They have some crazy stuff. We're going to talk about some of them. I would want to do anything where I can stand still or even better sit down. Just, I didn't have to exert a lot of, at my age now. So I think shooting, I think I'm a good shot. I don't know
Okay.
why I think I'm a good shot. But like if I'm sitting at my desk at home and I wad up a paper wad to make a ball, I hit the can every time.
Okay, that's not anything like shooting. That's like playing ball or something.
Basketball, yeah. But I would have to run if I was
okay.
playing basketball. No, it's about aim. It's about hand-to-eye coordination and aim. Now, I used to shoot a BB gun when I was a little kid, and I could hit a pole with a birdhouse at the top. It'd go ding, ding, ding. But that was when I was a kid, and I thought, you think you can do anything when you're a kid. Didn't have anything telling me I couldn't do it. Or archery. I did have a date once, 2 dates, with a guy who was a bow hunter, and he brought his bow for us that was our date. I did pretty well on it.
Wow.
Yeah. So archery, you could stand still when you're doing archery. Now I could do a team sport if I could like blend in and hide behind, like I did in dodgeball.
Okay, so what you want to do is have something that it literally requires zero energy,
yeah,
zero
energy.
physical anything.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or ride on the coattails of talented players.
Boy, I wouldn't want you on my team. Just saying.
I usually won dodgeball because I hid behind everybody.
Of course you did.
Now, we know somebody who's a coxswain in rowing, and I wonder if she could probably qualify to get on, if she got on an Olympic team to do that, you know, which it requires you to be small, you know, to fit in that front and have a good, loud, strong voice. And I'm sure it's a lot more complicated than that too, but
Yes.
that's a thought. If we decided that we wanted to practice and get good enough in one of those categories to get into the Olympics, could we? I had to research that. The most common misperception about getting into the Olympics is that there are tryouts. That's not true. They're not auditions. The reality is that for nearly every Olympic sport, from curling to shot put to cycling, there's a hierarchy of levels, categories of competition ranks that it takes years and years to climb and decades to achieve. There's no sport that every 4 years hangs out a sign that says Olympic tryouts today. But you could do it. The first step is you have to make an Olympic team. And that usually involves starting a sport when you're a little kid, you know, to make an Olympic team. But you could try out if you wanted to. Locally. You start locally, you build up. You have to compete internationally and have so many wins in international competitions. And of course, it's a lot of money. You know, I think a lot of times kids miss out because they don't have the money, because usually a parent has to quit their job to help you, and you need to get sponsors and that kind of thing. Depending on there's so many different sports, some are more expensive than others, but so a lot of people miss out. But Tia, there is no age limit. You have to be 16 or older, so we got that. You have to be an amateur. You can't be being paid for doing it, which we definitely have that. And it doesn't matter how old you are. There is no upper age limit. So we could do that. You have to comply with the Olympic Charter, which basically says you have to represent the Olympics in a classy, professional, moral way. So I think we could do that.
Dena, we're not ever going to be in the Olympics, okay?
But don't be negative.
I'm not. I'm just being honest, and I'm being realistic. We'll never be in the Olympics, and you certainly will not. I just want something where I can just sit and do nothing.
No, I'll do stuff with my arms.
Oh, wow.
I'll turn my head back and forth. I can do that.
Okay.
I should just squash a girl's dream like that. Good grief.
I don't really think I'm squashing your dream. I'm just telling you, like, reality.
Okay.
I promise.
All right. I might still try. Okay. So if a country is the host team, their team automatically gets qualified, depending on the sport in the Olympics. I mean, that's only fair.
Right.
Into so much trouble. Otherwise, you do have to qualify. But again, it's just like from sport to sport to sport. So I would think shooting, you've just got to show up, find out where these places are, and be the best shot.
I know.
I mean, why can't I do that?
Well, you rock on and see if you can.
Okay. I don't know what I've tried to look up golf because I thought you might say golf, where it stands currently and what the female winner is shooting. But I don't think I don't think that event has happened yet. I couldn't find anything.
Dena, honey, I couldn't even win a state tournament, much less qualify for the Olympics.
Well, not right now.
No, never.
While we're sitting here. Okay.
Never.
If you wanted to.
No, if I wanted to, like when I was young, and then trained my whole life, yes. But not now.
Okay. So if you had been young when you started swimming, it's what you would have gone for, you think?
No, I would have done track.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, if I was younger...
Four different things. Okay.
Well...
I believe it. I know we've talked about how you're an athlete. Okay, so if you can't qualify, according to Tia, she cannot get in the Olympics because she's a negative Nelly. But
No, I'm just... Rachel, realistic.
Okay, Rachel. So if you think you can't qualify for the Olympics, but you just love it. You want to be involved in it. You can actually volunteer.
Right.
Ta-da. You have to be at least 18 years of age, speak English, and another language is good. Another language is helpful. Now, if you had gone to Paris, it's too late now to be a volunteer. You could speak English or French. You don't necessarily have to know both. And you have to be available for 10 days between the opening of the village and 2 days after the closing ceremonies. So I don't know what that would be. That would be like close to 3 weeks, I think. You get to go to the city. I think you could get a sponsor to get your transportation to get there. And they do provide your housing, but it's not usually near the Olympic. It's outside the city because there's just not any openings for volunteers. So you would have to travel back and forth every day. But I think that would be pretty cool. I mean, to be surrounded by that atmosphere. And is that something you would consider?
No.
What if it's in the United States, in another state? Would you do? No?
No.
Why? Tell me why.
I just don't want to volunteer to do that. I have zero interest in
Really?
doing it. Yes.
Even if it was the golf? And the swimming?
Yes.
Okay. Gosh. Now you're negative, Nelly. It's not realistic, Rachel.
No. I'm just being hell and honesty.
That was a reach. Can't you think of a name that sounds like that? Okay. Or you could be a journalist. You know, we could say, because we are the Hoda and Jenna of Peru, we could say we want to cover the Olympics if we wanted to pay our way there. So you just fill out an application, and the IOC will decide if you're legitimate or not. I mean, we're on our second year. We're number 8 in Peru. I feel like we could possibly do that, but apparently you wouldn't be interested in that either. Would you be interested in covering the Olympics? No. I think you're lazy Lucy. Is what I think.
No, I'm not the one that wants to sit and do a sport. Do not ever call me Lazy Lucy.
Okay, how do they decide what sports are going to be included? You know, sometimes you'll say, well, this isn't included this year. There's this crazy sport you were talking about earlier, some fun sports, unusual sports that are added. And that's really up to the host city, whether they can accommodate that particular event and whether they think their culture or their audience would be interested, have enough knowledge about it. So, for instance, like if you take baseball was in the Olympics. I knew that it had, you know, they said it wasn't in this Olympics. I thought, oh, no, I've seen baseball. In 1992, 2000, and 2020, baseball was in those host cities, part of the Olympics, which I'm sure Greg probably involved that since he loves baseball so much. But to be an event, one of the qualifications is you have to have the best of the best participating. So if the best of the best in baseball were like, I did that once, I don't want to do it again, or I'm not interested, they're like, we want excellence. We don't want a ragtag team of baseball players to participate. So they just couldn't come up with the qualifications to have baseball this year. But it could be back. I think Los Angeles is the next host summer games. So they are going to have, 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles. They will be bringing baseball back. So there were 5 new sports, or newish, in the Paris Olympics. Breakdancing.
What?
Breakdancing. Wait a minute.
Wow.
You and I.
No. No, we can't do that either. I don't know. What did you dream about last night?
We could do like the Ross and Rachel routine that they did on the dance club thing. Anyway, they call it breaking, and it really truly is. And they've had it before, but it's fairly new. But I want to sign me up. I want to see. I mean, not to do it, but to watch it. I want to see that. I mean, that is very athletic if you think about breakdancing. Right? It's a lot like floor gymnastics, really. Skateboarding, we've seen that before, which is fun to watch. And sport climbing. And the thing about, I have a note here about breakdancing has boys and girls, so that's good. It's a lot of young people, I would think there would be a lot of kids from urban communities that are really good break dancers that, just practice out on the street. They don't have formal training. They've done that, and they're able to go to the Olympics. So that's particularly cool. Oh, it's okay. It's going to be on August 9th and 10th. Surfing. They will not be surfing on the Chisel Seine River. There's no place to surf in Paris. So they're going to have that in Tahiti. So that's a case where sometimes the Olympics are spread all over the world.
Right.
People say you think it would be exciting to watch surfing, but sometimes it's actually in a tank so they can control the waves, and they just have to do certain maneuvers. So you might see somebody go out in the ocean to surf, and they're just doing the flip, they're not like catching the biggest wave, and it's not the highest wave and all that. So people say it's kind of a disappointment. It's really just if you're in the surfing community that you could appreciate what they're doing. And then sport climbing. And sport climbing is like wall climbing. There's like different things like really, really like 50-foot walls they climb, things like that. And so I think that would be interesting to watch. That requires a lot of moving.
Right, which you would not want to do.
Now I could tie the rope around me and somebody could just pull me up.
Okay, there you go. I don't think that's how it works.
3x3 basketball, and that is half-court play with 3 people on each team. So that would be probably really fast-paced and fun to watch. So, Tia, the most important thing, do you get paid if you win a medal at the Olympics?
If you get sponsors.
Well, it depends on the athlete and the sport and the country. The IOC does not pay you if you win a medal. Other Olympic committees sometimes do pay their athletes if they perform well. The U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee, for example, pays athletes $37,500 for every gold medal that they earn.
Wow.
Those earning silver get $22,500, and those earning bronze get $15,000. Compared to other countries, though, that's actually relatively low. According to CNBC, the host country of France is paying its gold medalists 80,000 euros, or about 86.5 in American money. Gold medalists from neighboring Spain are paid roughly $102,000 for gold medals. And topping out the list is Hong Kong, which is paying its gold medalist about $768,000 for gold medals.
Wow.
I know. And then Singapore's after that, $745,000. Germany and Australia are pretty low. They're like $13,000, $22,000. And other countries offer apartments, cars, and free lifetime public transit if they win and represent the country well. But if you think about how much money you put into your athletic career, just training and coaches and equipment, and depending on the sport again, that's actually not a lot of. I don't think you do it for the money, do you?
No.
I think you do it.
I think you do it for the love of the sport.
Exactly. Most Olympians have to have a job, when they're of age to have a job. And they have to have a second or maybe even third job just to support their sport. Most teams rely on sponsors for their travel, accommodations, nutritional support, rent, lodging, and simply affording to live in this day and age, especially female sports and female athletes. People just don't get behind the female athletes like they do the male athletes. So that caught the attention. That was in a post that Flavor Flav, you know who that is?
Mm-hmm.
Wears the big watch around his neck. He's a founding member of the hip-hop group Public Enemy, and he is really into the Olympics. He's a hype man for the USA water polo, and he raises monies for different Olympic programs because he's just really thought that was sad. Now, Olympic athletes, the really good ones end up on the Wheaties box.
Right.
My mom, that's her favorite cereal, so we always have that in the house with different athletes on it. And depending on your agent, your lawyers, who's negotiating for you, on the Wheaties box, people have gotten anywhere from $75,000 to $300,000. Like, I think LeBron James is probably the highest paid athlete, and he was on the Olympic basketball team at one point. So, Tia, we talked about the money. Who are the most successful financially Olympic athletes of all time. Well, Katie Ledecky is worth $5 million. I'd say she'll be worth more after coming home.
Yes,
After the
she
Olympics.
certainly will be.
Simone Biles at $16 million. And once again, if she's not a multi-millionaire after this Olympics, I don't know. But I think she coaches for some school now, I think I read that. Carl Lewis was in track and field, $20 million. Tara Lipinski, figure skater, $25 million. Caitlyn Jenner, who at the time was Bruce Jenner, $25 million. Lance Armstrong, $5 million. Shaun White, skateboarder, $65 million. And I'd say he probably sells a line of skateboards,
Yes.
and it has nothing to do with the Olympics, I don't think. Usain Bolt, like the fastest man in the world, $90 million. Probably has a line of shoes. And Michael Phelps at $100 million, the swimmer. You know, I had forgotten about him, actually. Do people remember these people, really? I mean, unless...
I remember Michael.
The basketball players are the richest. I didn't even mention their money, but that's had nothing to do with the Olympics. You know, that was just their professional basketball career. Kobe and Michael Jordan and LeBron James. All right, let's go to trivia. Now, this trivia is from the Today Show, Tia, so once again, it's appropriate for us, being the Hoda and Jenna of Peru. I think I'm going to make bumper stickers that say that.
Okay, you do that. I bet it will come back in the world to you.
Paris has hosted the Olympic Games 3 times, 1900, 1924, and 2024, so 100 years ago. I felt like it was there before. I felt like I remember it being there before. How many athletes competed in Paris? Approximately 10,500. It seems like it would be more than that to me. Does that sound like a lot?
No, that sounds like a lot.
10,000, yeah.
Yes.
Having to house 10,000 people. The first time an Olympic torch was used was the 1936 Berlin Games. So I felt like that was probably an old thing from, maybe in Greek, back
That's
in,
what, yeah.
they probably did, and then it stopped, and then, yeah. To date, the number of cities that have hosted the Winter Games is only 21, but if you think of every 4 years,
Right.
and it's 21 different cities, so some cities must have repeated. What country has hosted the most Summer Olympic Games, Tia?
I don't know.
The United States.
Oh, well.
Yeehaw.
Yay for us.
I know. St. Louis, 1904, Los Angeles, 1932, and 1984, and Atlanta, 1996, and they're going to do it again in 2028.
Wow.
23 countries have hosted the Summer Olympic Games. The first female Olympian to win a gold medal, which is amazing, but I've never heard of her. I think she's French. Helene de Portales for sailing. But sailing, I think, is the important part. It was a woman that won sailing. The first female American to win gold, Tia, was a golfer, Margaret Abbott. Never heard of her. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, the largest TV audience was the Beijing 2008 Summer Games. I don't know what the numbers are going to pan out for Paris, the amount of viewers. It's kind of hard to judge now because people watch things on YouTube.
Right.
They watch all these clips and stuff, so you can't really judge how many people are watching it. The first nation to host the Summer and Winter Games in the same year, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine that headache, was France in 1924. So you know how they have the little pins, people trade the pins at the Olympic Village. So there's always a little icon for that year's Olympics. And it's usually something simple because they want to be able to recreate it in pins and T-shirts and have it doing different sports and things. And the Paris one is a little hat. Sometimes people are like, what is that little creature? It's the Liberty hat. It's based on the Liberty hat. Have you seen it, that little red? He is a little hat, in case you've wondered. Do you remember the Miracle on Ice hockey game between the U.S. and Russia and the Soviet Union? That's when we were really butting heads. That was in 1980, and America won. It was like we were not expected to win. The question was, where did that take place? And that was Lake Placid in the U.S.
Wow, 1980.
Yeah. And I was watching the Olympics back then. I was into it. The last time this surprising category was in the Olympics was in London in 1948. Now this, Tia, tell me I couldn't do this, is art.
Yes, you could do that.
I can sit down.
Right. It would exert zero energy other than your hands.
Yeah, my imagination.
Right.
So they need to bring that back. That was in 1948, so I just missed it.
Barely.
The first U.S. city to host the Olympics ever was St. Louis, Missouri. The 2026 Winter Olympics will take place in 2 Italian cities. I know you love Italy. We could volunteer, Tia.
I don't want it.
Milan. Have you been to Milan?
No.
And Cortina d'Ampezzo. What figure skater won the most medals in international championships and Olympics? No idea?
Nope.
Michelle Kwan.
Oh. I did know that.
Did you?
Yes, I did. It didn't come to mind.
Yeah.
I remember her.
I feel like figure skaters and gymnasts really stick in your brain, the names, and they carry on to do commentary at other sporting events, and they're on the commercials. I don't know. They just really shine, I think. When were women first allowed to compete in the Olympics?
I don't know.
1900.
Oh.
And what sports were they allowed to participate in? I'm going to make you guess this.
I don't know. Swimming,
Nope.
track.
Nope.
Okay, crochet.
You know what? Croquet is one. I thought you said croquet.
No, I was saying
gonna say,
crochet.
you got croquet. How did you know croquet?
Wow.
Crochet. I could do crochet. All right. I'd have to learn how to crochet. Tennis, sailing, croquet, golf, and equestrianism. Which country has won the most Olympic gold medals overall? The United States. Go us. The youngest female athlete to ever win an Olympic medal was Inga Sorensen, which I've heard that name, from Denmark, and she was 12 years old when she won for the breaststroke in 1936. Now, I do know her name for some reason.
Okay, well, then apparently they had lower age limits because...
12, you're right.
Thank you.
You were paying attention.
Oh, I always pay attention.
I didn't even notice that. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I'd say they have since upped it to
Yes.
16. Yeah. Very good, Tia. Paying
Well,
attention
no,
in
wait.
class.
No, wait. There's a swimmer. It's 16, not 18, because there was a swimmer that's 17 that's competing.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, it is 16, age 16. Well, here's another one. The youngest male was 14, and he won for diving in 1920. You know, back then, that's when kids had to go to work when they were 12 and work in sweatshops. They didn't think anything
Right.
about the delicacies of children back then. The oldest, Tia, female athlete to win an Olympic gold medal, 63 years old.
Wow.
Older than us, believe it or not.
What did...
Archery.
Oh.
See? See?
You could.
I could. And that was in 1904. Wow, she was really revolutionary. Do you remember the U.S. gymnast who memorably injured her ankle vaulting but still scored high enough to win the gold? Remember, she landed and was like, ouch, and lifted her foot back up. I know you can see it in your brain, but the name's probably escaping you.
Yeah, because she just went through a serious illness. I cannot recall her name.
I think you're thinking of, because I saw that too,
Then who is it?
Carrie Strug.
Okay. Oh,
You're
then
thinking-
I'm thinking
It's
of...
the same team.
Right,
Remember, that was just
right.
like the Magnificent Seven, I think they called them.
Exactly.
She was so cute. You know, she was that little cute little voice. She's still cute. Mary Lou Retton.
That's it.
Yeah, I was picturing her in my mind too, doing that jump. And wincing and lifting her foot back up when she landed, but it wasn't. It was Carrie Strug. The first Olympic Games to be televised were in 1936, Berlin. Did we have televisions in 1936? When was the television invented? 1927.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I always think of like the 50s when people got I guess most people didn't have. Now here's an intriguing one, Tia, we might do. An Olympic sport through 1920. Oh, they don't have it anymore. Tug of war.
Oh, wow.
See, I could hide behind the coattails of my talented teammates and go, ah!
Exactly.
Like I'm really pulling.
Wow.
You're losing all respect for me. Well, Nadja Comaneci was 14 when she participated. That was in 1976, so that's a recent development, which I think is a good, because that means if you're that young and you're competing, then how young were you when you were going through all that other pressure? I mean, you know, should a 14-year-old be going through all that pressure? Katie Ledecky made a debut at 15 in 2012. What is up? This age thing is bogus. Okay, Tia. There are 5 Olympic rings, right? What colors are they?
I don't know.
Guess.
I'm not going to guess.
Name your colors. Just name colors. Name colors that you know.
No, name colors that I know. Well, we're going to be here until, I don't know, Halloween.
What's one color that you know? Play along.
What? Black,
Yes, that's one.
red,
Yes, that's 2.
blue,
Yes, that's 3.
green,
That's 4.
yellow.
Yes!
Okay, wow.
I knew you knew. Why do you make that so difficult? Do you know what they represent, those colors?
No.
They represent Africa, Asia, Australia, the Americas, and Europe, which is all the parts of the world that athletes come from. And they're all linked together. See, that's cool. So, Tia, after you've heard all this about the Olympics and learned about the Olympics, and we really weren't that interested about the Olympics, I'm going to continue to be ever positive Polly, about my possibility of being in the Olympics. I'm not kidding.
Okay.
I mean, that may be Delulu, as we like to say, but I'm not going to give it up. And I feel like the Olympics are not really about sports. I mean, they are, obviously, and about excellence, but it's really about the whole world, which is in so much turmoil, coming together, all the little rings linked together, and putting aside their differences for 2 weeks, anyway.
Right.
And I saw a photo of the North Korea and South Korean athletes taking photos together. You know, little selfies, holding them up, smiling. And the leaders probably didn't like that.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But that's very good that they were doing that.
Yeah. Citizens are usually not involved in all this.
Political stuff.
Yeah, the fighting.
Right.
They're all just people with the same goal in mind. So I think that's a beautiful thing. So it's really not about the medals, the winning. I'm sure it is them. But so speaking of medals, let's check where we are right now. Who's ahead? Overall, the U.S. is number 1 with 75 medals. So take that. Maybe it's about medals. Maybe. But China is number 1 in gold at 21. But we are overall at 75, Tia.
That's great.
It's awesome. So go us. Go U.S. All right, Tia, we got to get out of here.
Yes.
Any final thoughts?
I don't have any final thoughts other than I was really intrigued about like when it started and how it started and all the cities it's been in and everything, and that was extremely interesting. And thank you so very much for doing that research.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. I didn't learn when I was in school, so now I'm doing my learning now, and this next chapter of my life, I'm enjoying learning things.
Well, baby, I'm tickled. I'm enjoying learning from you, but and I'm gonna hope and pray that you get into the Olympics, because I promise I will watch. Oh, will I? Matter of fact, I'll have a watch party.
All right, we'll see. Okay. We hope you guys learned a little bit of something and enjoyed yourselves. And don't listen to negative Nellie over here, or realistic Rachel, however you want to think of it. But because you can do anything you put your mind to.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Some things you certainly can.
Thank you guys for listening. We love you. I love you, Tia.
Love you,
Even though you
Pumpkin.
don't support me in this. All right.
I just said.
You'll watch and laugh at me.
I would. And I could watch party.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.
We would love to hear from you.
Leave your questions or comments on our voicemail by visiting our website at denaandtia.com. Your message may be played on the show.
You can find our Instagram and Facebook links there too.
Again, that's denaandtia.com. Thanks for
listening.
listening.